Hi, Soul Family. Welcome to my channel. We talk about all things to heal, grow, and evolve. And today I wanted to talk about how to really use your intuition as an empath. And I'm someone who's empathetic. I've been having a lot of empathetic moments during childhood, my entire life. So I've been through that. And sometimes it's hard to really tap into your intuition as an empath because you're absorbing so much uh, energy from other people, energy from the environment, energy from chaotic situations. As a collective, the consciousness collective, there's just so many things that's happening in this world, and we kind of like absorb all of that. So, my main thing I want to talk about as using your intuition is also building self awareness about whether your emotions are yours or it's you're picking up emotions of other people. If this is your first time watching my channel, welcome. And over here, we talk about things such as spirituality, metaphysics, and African history. So if that's something that you're interested in, just keep on watching. So, the main quote that I have come up with when it comes to being empathetic is observe, don't absorb. There are so many chaotic things happening in this world, and a lot of them are intentionally put out for us to have some type of emotional reaction, most likely negative, so they can use that energy to feed and create this system of the matrix, create this system of fear, create this system of mind control and brainwashing. However, if you're able to observe these events, observe bad news, observe all these chaotic things, these terrible things that's happening around the world, even not even just worldly situations, just within your own home, your own personal life. You need to observe it, but don't absorb. You see it for exactly what it is. It is humans having a human experience because, as empaths, as light workers, as chosen ones, we know we are here to live off the human experience as spiritual beings. You're constantly picking up other frequencies of yourself. You're constantly picking up other frequencies of other people, and you can attach that as your own. You can internalize it to the point you think you're experiencing these emotions. You think it comes from you, when in reality, it's maybe people from your home, from work, from school. If they're all having these certain fears or certain concerns or worries about something that's going on, you may automatically feel like you're in obligated to feel that type of way. So what do? We subconsciously create these emotions within ourselves and we start to experience it. We internalize these emotions from other people, and then in return we externalize it to be as if we are actually going through these same emotions. Now you're walking around sad, walking around anxious, and these anxieties, these sadness, these depression, these fears were never yours to begin with. This is why you need to have a stable sense of foundation. This is why you need to observe and don't absorb. You observe the situation for it is. Yes, give compassion. Yes, give grace, but do not give empathy because now that emotion, those sadness, that attachment, those fears are now going to come to you. Building a stable foundation of yourself is knowing who you are, knowing what emotions you carry for the most part. That is having a sense of self, knowing how you are as a neutral person, staying as neutral, mastering the art of neutrality, because in doing so you create an energetic filter around yourself and around that opposing energy. So it comes to the point where you don't even flinch when you see some type of terrible thing happening. You don't flinch when someone's trying to project their emotions, project their fears. You don't flinch when someone's trying to cuss you out, someone's trying to bring you down, someone's trying to pull you down to their level, someone's trying to bash you, saying all these negative things to get a reaction. You don't flinch because that energetic filter is there that you've created because you have a sense of self, and you know that these emotions that are in the air, these emotions that are in the energetic force field of consciousness is not mine. And it doesn't mean being desensitized. It doesn't mean becoming numb. It doesn't mean being very apathetic. It's just realizing that these emotions that you're feeling is not yours. That's really all it is. We are allowed, we are meant to go through emotions. Every single emotional, every single emotion on the emotional scale, from happiness, sadness, grief, anger, we're supposed to be experiencing that. But the thing is, we're not supposed to be going through that as a permanent thing. It should not be something that is continuously running through our lives. When it comes to sadness, depression, we're meant to feel it, process it, and release it and let go of it for us to bring in the next stages of our lives, bring in open doors, to bring in higher levels of consciousness. So, this is why I keep going back to observing the situation as it is. not absorbing it as if this is your own tragedies, your own anxieties, your own fears. Because if your sense of self, if your foundation of self is not stable, if it's shaky, you keep wavering. This is how you're easily manipulated to be fearful of things, easily manipulated and become victim of depression, victim of anxiety, victim of paranoia. Like I was saying, a lot of things are happening in this world right now. We got economic things, social things, election coming up, and a lot of things are purposely put out there on the internet for you to have some type of reaction. So, this is why you have that energetic filter. You observe the situation as it is, but you don't become that situation. And then no one's going to be easily able to persuade you and control you so they can make you believe how they want you to feel. They can control your energetic frequency. No one has that ability to control it but you. And that is what it means to have a stable foundation and a sense of self as an empath. And let me just tell you a few stories happen that used to happen to me because like I just wasn't able to control my emotions and control like what emotions I'm picking up. And when I do now, I'm able to have a realization that okay, these emotions that I'm feeling, it comes from XYZ. These are not my emotions. I see it for what it is, and because of that, it is much easier for me to let go of the sadness, let go of the anger. If I'm around someone, they're not happy about something, they're ranting, and I can pick up on that anger. I can pick up on that frustration. I don't I don't allow it to enter my heart, enter my body, and now I don't allow myself to embody that energy of frustration and anger as the person next to me is. I just see it for what it is. But going back to my story, y'all used to know I used to be a registered nurse, and while I was working in the hospital, I used to pick up energies of my patients, especially when they're sick, they're very depressed, feelings of shame, feelings of sickness, feelings of hopelessness, feelings of they're never going to make it out. And I would pick up on these energies. I had one patient, right? And she was crying because she had a condition. She was diagnosed with a condition, and she felt very hopeless. She felt very ashamed of herself, and she was just crying, 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 bawling her eyes out. And I was there trying to soothe her, trying to comfort her, but it was so bad to the point where like I had to walk away, and I started crying myself because I felt those emotions that she was feeling, that feeling of hopelessness, feeling of shame, feeling of depression. I felt it in my heart, and I took on her energies. So I was feeling hopeless. I was feeling ashamed, as if I was the one who had this condition, as if I was the one who was diagnosed with it myself. But what happened was I was picking up on her energy. I was picking up on her emotions, and I absorbed those into my own energetic force field as my own. And I had to step away and I had to release those. So I was crying at myself because I felt what she was feeling. But the thing is, I recognized it as this is what she is feeling and I need to release it. But what happens is sometimes we pick up other people's emotions, we pick up their frequency, but we don't realize that we're picking it up. So we think it's our own feelings. That's why sometimes our emotions are chaotic. We feel happy one second, the next second we feel angry, then we feel depressed, then we feel ashamed, then we feel guilt, and we feel happy again. These are other people's emotions that you're picking up. And you have to have a sense of self and sense of self-awareness that where is these energies coming from? Whose energies am I picking up on? Because if you have a sense of self, you would know if these feelings of sadness is yours, feelings of anger is yours, and you can track and you can pinpoint where they're coming from. You can pinpoint how this developed. You can pinpoint where it originated from. So you need to build discernment and not take everything face value. Just take it and run with it. You need to be able to see it for what it is. Going back to that same quote, observe, don't absorb, because how you perceive the world, how you perceive your life is based off of your mind. Your mind reflects your external. Your mind will reflect the physical. So if you're having feelings of shame, feelings of anger, feelings of anxiety, paranoia, you think the world's going to end, you feel like there's no way out, that will reflect in your physical. Even though these thoughts were not even your own to begin with, these thoughts were not yours originally, but because you were not aware of these thoughts were not your own, you kept feeling those things, your mind validated those emotions. Instead of releasing them, You validated them as your own, and now your subconscious mind impregnated those thoughts, and now it's reflecting in your physical. Another thing I want to mention is how to discern and clarify your anxiety versus intuition. And I kind of made a video about this a while ago. When it comes to meditating, the difference between knowing if your thoughts or your emotions are anxiety or intuition. The first one is intuition is never fear based. If you feel fear, if you feel like you're concerned or scared about something, if a thought comes to you and you have feelings of fear, that is most likely your anxiety. Intuition is never something that will come through a fear based situation. Even if it's something trying to warn you of danger, that thought will come to you. But if you keep overthinking it, if you keep dwelling on it, that is when anxiety kicks in. Anxiety brings fear, intuition brings clarity. Intuition is something that will support you. Anxiety is something that sabotages you. Even if we don't have all the information, if we need to make a decision, intuition will help you have more clarity on it, but anxiety will bring more confusion. And sometimes we get a message, we get a nudge, we get a sensation, we get a feeling, and which is our intuition. But if you're not able to recognize these cues, you start to doubt these intuitive thoughts. You start to doubt these intuitive nudges. You start overthinking it. You start ruminating. That's when your anxiety kicks in again, even though the first message, the first nudge you got was your intuition. So there are both feelings, but you have to recognize which cue is which. Also, knowing what is your drive when you're making a decision, or you have some type of nudge, or you have some type of feeling about something. Because, like I said, even if we don't have all the answers, we can still make a decision. But are you using a drive off of fear or drive off of love? And knowing that even though I don't have the answers, I will still find a way out. I will still find the answers I need. The same way you got a calling, the same way you got this nudge, this sensation, it's the same way you'll be continuing to be guided. As you make that first step, you'll be guided to make another one. Or even if you don't make the right step, you'll be pivoted and you always be redirected. That is what your intuition does, because your intuition is here to help guide you. Your intuition comes from your higher self, it comes from source, it comes from God, higher dimensions. It's that direct connection from your crown chakra. So it's not just a one and done thing. Just because you have an intuitive nudge doesn't mean that it's never going to come back again. It will always be here to guide us. But we just have to be aware of that and realize these cues, realize these intuition callings that are within us. So it's not something that is just something that's very scarce. It's infinite, it's abundant, because it comes from the infinite and abundant universe, infinite and abundant source of energy. If you're doing things out of desperation, that is anxiety. If you're doing something out of determination, that is more of your intuition. So it's really all about how are you feeling in the moment. Overthinking it, being indecisive, you're already being anxious about it. Whatever that first calling that you got, that first nudge, it's very quiet. Your intuition is very quiet. It's a quiet whisper. It's a quiet nudge. It's a quiet feeling within you. Everyone experiences intuition differently. So it could be more of a feeling. You hear like a quiet voice. Maybe it's a thought that comes in your mind. But whatever that is, you have to recognize those cues and realize this is my intuition calling me. Like I said, it's something that's very quiet. It's like a small voice or a small feeling or a nudge. Anxiety doesn't do that. Anxiety is loud, screaming in your ear, all these type of unhelpful thoughts, doing the absolute most. So that is not your intuition. That is anxiety trying to create fear within your mind. Under all that cloud, under all that blanket of anxiety, that is where your intuition lies. However, if we overthink things, we miss our intuition cues, but it doesn't mean we miss it forever. We just have to tap into that again. So overall, my message for this is continue to observe situations and don't absorb it for what it is. You have to build self-awareness, build self-realization, have an emotional self-assessment to truly know, like, are these my emotions I'm feeling, or is this emotions of other people? Recognize your environment, your surroundings. How did you feel before walking into a group of people, and how do you feel afterwards? If you feel great, if you felt happy and great before talking to a group of people or walking into a room or talking to someone, and after that you felt down, you feel like shit, you feel very angry, depressed, is it because of those people you're around? Were you picking up on their energies and now you absorb them into your own force field as your own? You have to recognize these cues. You have to build more self-awareness, because you easily are able to recognize energy. You can easily detect emotions. You can easily detect these things. And so you would have to be more aware of your emotions, do more emotional self assessments, do more energy self assessment. And you probably would have to do more releasing because of how much you're an empath you are, because how much of these energies can take a toll on you and how much sensitive you are to things, people, places, environments, especially if someone is trying to say something to you. You can be very sensitive to that because your emotions are heightened, your feelings are heightened, your sense of awareness, your sense of energy is heightened. So you would have to do more releasing, more healing work, and build up that energetic field so that these energies, these frequencies does not affect you as much. So when you see something online, you can see right through the nonsense because you've built up that energetic filter and you're able to observe, not what? Absorb. Okay? Okay. Well, that is all I have for today. I hope this video finds you well. If there's anything specifically you want me to talk about, just let me know down in the comment. And until next time, I will see you on the next video. Bye, y'all.